It's been a pretty turgid day, but we're going to try and bring you some happiness, some therapy, some whatever you need after yesterday's result. And there's only two people that I could really have here to do that with us, the therapists for this evening. Rebecca, how are you? You're quite tired because you stayed up for the Copa America as well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, tired after that. I don't think I've ever watched a match that lasted as long as that one. The hour and 20 delay and then a 25-minute half-time rather than your regular 15 because they had Shakira performing.
Really? Oh, for goodness sake. After a 90-minute delay? Oh, wow. That's not neutral either, is it? In an Argentinian-Colombian game, is it? To roll Shakira out? But there you go.
And then goes to extra time, so not getting bed till I think it was like 5:30 in the morning, so it was sunlight outside.
Oh, perfect! You've had a hell of an evening of football then. Hell of an evening. Well, it's lovely to have you on, Rebecca. And of course, my good friend Lucas is here. I've not been on for a while with Lucas, and we picked a fantastic one to be positive about tonight. How you doing, mate? You well?
Yeah, all good. Still kind of waiting for summer to arrive, but I'm off to Portugal for a few days this week, so couldn't wait any longer over here. So I'm going after the sun myself.
Don't blame me. I've given up as well. Absolutely given up. Welcome to everybody as well in the chat. Simon is here. Evening to you, Simon. And Stinky Blinky with a Greece 1, England 0. Let's go. Shut off the back. It's all open tonight. You know, if there's anybody who needs a bit of therapy, a bit of ranting, there'll be some gloaters, I've no doubt, about what happened. So we are, of course, talking the Euro 2024 final yesterday between England and Spain. It obviously ended 2-1 to Spain. We'll start off with Josh's favourite question, Rebecca, to you. How did that make you feel in general first, before we go into all of the detail?
I don't really know. It's an odd one because, of course, like, you're gutted that it, as everyone will say, it didn't come home. But then you're always going to feel proud of what they put in, and to be able to say that we reached another final is something that is amazing to say. But it was an exciting watch, but you're just a bit like disappointed at. You thought when we equalised, we've got it, we can go on and win it, but it just, again, wasn't our time. But proud of them as always. But yeah, it was a disappointing one.
Didn't kind of hand how we're looking for. Of course, Crazy Boom's in the chat as well, giving us a lovely hola from Crazy Boom. Yeah, it wasn't, was it? It wasn't what we wanted. It wasn't what we were looking for. I don't think we can really have any arguments about it, to be honest. But Lucas, how did that make you feel? I suppose probably not really that surprised, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the equalizer came and when the momentum shifted, I was kind of hopeful, but yeah, I'm not surprised. The way we were playing was never gonna win us the tournament, because once again we come up against the top side and we get nowhere. So yeah, it's the same old as it has been for the last 6 years, and yeah, they've gotten far, but you need to win it. And back-to-back finals. No team has lost back-to-back finals in the European competition apart from England. So
record breakers.
Yeah, record breakers. The wrong record at least, but I don't know. Well, I mean, I do know, but it was a bit of just like a buzzkill at the end. When that second Spanish goal went in, it just completely, the mood just shifted. And it was just like, we're hopeful, but you could just see it. It was like, we're not gonna get another goal. It's not gonna happen.
It just completely deflated, doesn't it? I know we had that late chance with the header, Declan Rice, and then Mark Gahey off the line as well. And that was that was the final nail in the coffin, where you just went, yeah, this is not our night again. It's not our day. We seem to have become the Tottenham of world football, haven't we? I mean, are we ever going to get this trophy, Lucas, or is this going to be as good as it gets?
I think they can do it. Like, the players are definitely there. Like, we have some really strong players in that team who have won a lot of trophies for their club teams. So they've got that experience. Plus, you know, there's a core of young players who are now experienced in international tournaments. There's good chemistry between some of these players as well. And like I said, in their club form, you know, I was going to say Harry Kane for a second, but apart from him, Foden, you know, player of the year in the Premier League, has won everything with Man City. You know, there's Bellingham with Real Madrid. Like, there's players who can win trophies and know how to get it over the line. We just need to put them in the right structure to help them do that, and we haven't in the last we haven't under Southgate at all. We've like, when you look back on it, we have got very lucky with the side of the draws and managed to get far based off of that, because once we come up against a team that's playing well and is better and is considered better than us, we lose. And that's not the case with like Greece. Greece in 04, like, and we're not Greece. So it's just, yes, I do think this team can win. I think they should have, one of the last two should have been, I mean, we should have won Italy. That should have been it. We should have been Italy at home at Wembley. So yeah, it is what it is, but I'm waiting for some good news, and hopefully we can start fresh with a bit of a direction for the World Cup. But you never know. You never know. You might stay. We're having this conversation again in 2 years.
We could be, and we'll be having exactly the same. I think this is the thing. It's the same kind of patterns, isn't it? Of you reach it's kind of confusing because you've reached the final, but we all know we haven't played well to get there, and we've picked moments out. I mean, we were a minute and a half away from Slovakia of Iceland Part 2, weren't we? That was almost on it. It was an individual moment of brilliance from Bellingham. We were behind against Switzerland, and they were better than us for a large period of that game. Okay, we played well in the first half against Holland, but again, couldn't react as soon as they changed the system in the second half. So it's kind of similar. It's a tough one because you look at it going final to final. As you said, this one, Spain were better than Italy, so you kind of take that on the chin a little bit. But the players are better, and the squad should be better, and they've had the experience of the previous final as well. So they do really. It's a hard one to kind of justify in your head, I suppose, isn't it? And
yeah,
we'll come on to, I'm sure, the manager in a minute, because I'm sure that's what everybody in the chat is looking to chat about. Simon's there straight off the bat. Didn't expect to win it, so not
thirsty for blood.
Hashtag Southgate. This is it. Last night on Twitter was just anger, wasn't it? It was just fury for pouring out. Crazy being genuinely, did you think you would go on to win when Rodri went off for Spain, then went for it start of the second half? The Rodri one was. Yeah, I got a bit excited at that and probably shouldn't have done, because the bloke who came on did it right, didn't he?
I mean, that's why he's linked with so many top clubs, Zubimendi. I mean, Rodri is, let's be honest, he's the best midfielder in the world, or at least he's making the claim to be it. Zubimendi is not bad. He's pretty decent, and he's been linked with a few clubs for that reason. But yeah, I expect us, but the game plan went out the window if we had one when they scored straight away in that second half. But even then, the reaction, it was, what are we going to do? And you did make the subs a bit quicker, but it almost feels like just try something as opposed to this is what I want to do. It's like, just throw on these guys, let's see what happens, as opposed to, because you can tell when they come on, there's no tactical change or shift. It's simply just do what you can to try and get a goal, which is why I think we have gone far these ways, because we have actually got some brilliant individual players, but we just don't set up to win tournaments at all.
No, we certainly don't, and we struggled in possession terribly bad yesterday to try and get a foothold in the game at all against the Spanish. A question here, so I'll pass this to you, Rebecca. Simon's asking, we have the players, we just don't have the manager to win it. Do you agree?
Yeah, I massively agree. It's like when you look at the team that we've got on paper, I think we've got one of the most expensive squads out of the Euros. But you see the talent that is within that, and it's just the way we're setting up doesn't seem right. I mean, having players playing out of position, we didn't have much choice until Luke Shaw came in really late on, in terms of glad he started the final. But it's like the way that we set up just didn't work for our players, and you can see that with Harry Kane. I mean, I think it's 2 finals now, and he's not had a shot on target in either of them. Or he's very limited to what he can get out of it. So it's one of them where you have one of the best strikers and you just not make your team around him be able to try and get the chances into him, because we know he can score. And it's also in terms of, you look at the talent, you've got Phil Foden, Jude Bellingham, you've got young players that are there that are attacking, you've got Bukayo Saka. And it's like we have a very exciting team and we have a very young team. So for them to be playing a completely different way to what we know they can do, it's different club and country, but you still expect to see that talent from that player, but we just seem to be lacking, and whether that is the way that Southgate had us set up, but I do think it's more manager than like the players.
Yeah, it's the Harry Kane point's an interesting one. We'll certainly be coming back to that later. I've no doubt about it. Another trophyless season for Harry Kane, ending in complete disaster. It is, isn't it? It's frustrating to see all of that and that you can't put them together. And you're playing a type of football that none of them play. None of them play this kind of way for their club. That's not how they do it. They play high pressure on the front foot, and it's just not. You could just kind of see some of them were kind of struggling to kind of know naturally what they were doing. I felt, and there were some that were being pushed. I mean, you have Bellingham out on the left wing, and Bellingham. Love Bellingham. He's been fantastic. He's been shot after 60 minutes in every game so far this tournament. You know, it's only because he scored the magic bicycle kick against Slovakia. I think it kind of proved to keep him on, but has struggled. We'll come to Harry Kane. Heather says here she thinks it's the last to see of Southgate, Walker, or Kane. Was he just injured, Lucas, or was he just because he looked like he was travelling through treacle?
He looked absolutely off the paces from the very beginning, and I'm surprised he started every single game. Yeah, in his defense, he's injured. And it's like, I know I always give Kane shit, but like I know he's a brilliant footballer. Like that's just a fact. Yeah. He is a brilliant footballer. He's a great striker. He's an elite striker. You don't score that many goals consistently if you're not good. His only issue has been his ability to get things over the line and lead his team to victory, which in his defense, he played for Tottenham, a team notoriously known for not winning trophies. So, but he goes to Bayern Munich and doesn't win one, but he does score like 40 plus goals. He's in a very solid England team. But again, what I will say in defense of Harry Kane is I do think it is tactical. I think the whole idea of him dropping deep, because think of it this way, if he was doing that and it wasn't part of the tactical instruction, that would have been addressed very early on in training, or the players on the pitch. They'd have been like, what are you doing? You're in our way. What's going on? You'd sense the frustration from the other players. You don't get that. Either they're amazing actors and they're all hiding it, or that is literally how they've been training. Kane is going to drop deep. You have to move space, let him drop deep into the middle and work around that. But it's not working around it to counter. I don't understand what the plan is with him dropping deep. So there's an element of that, but I also think sometimes just take your own initiative. Like, just if it's not working for you, just stay in the box, especially if you're injured. You don't want to be running up and down and defending and chasing. Like, just stay in the box. So I think it is tactical, and I think that's why he took him off, because he realized twice in a row that it wasn't working, and you actually need a striker who's going to run in behind and push the centre backs back, not drop deep into the midfield where we've got 4 ball players just already there. So yeah, it's disappointing. I expected more from Kane, to be honest, and I think he should have just taken some initiative. But the whole thing is tactical. The guy scored 40 plus goals. Like Rebecca said, put a system in place which allows him to score those goals or suits him. If you don't want to do it for Kane, then fine. If you want Kane to drop deep, play 2 runners in behind. Why the hell did you leave Rashford at home if the other guy who is literally a similar profile in Anthony Gordon had a better season? You don't even play. So you might as well just take him, Rashford. Same with Grealish and Bowen. You might as well just take him Grealish too. Yeah. We could have used those guys. Like, Rashford would have probably got minutes if he went. He would have got more minutes than Gordon. So why didn't you take him? That's all on Southgate and the coaching staff. So I don't get it. If that's the system with Kane dropping deep, then you need 2 people who run in behind. Saka, that's not Saka's game. That's definitely not Foden's game. So what's the plan? What's the plan to get goals in this team? And it was the entire setup every single game, relying on individual brilliance and players off the bench to come on and do something. It's mind-boggling. I'm still seeing, not as much as last time, but I'm still seeing defense of Southgate on Twitter. It's actually, I don't understand it. What are people watching? What do they expect is going to happen here?
It is mad tactically, because at Bayern Munich, he's got pace around him. He's got Musiala, he's got Sane, he's got Coman that do that.
Runners.
And that he scores 40 goals a season because he's got runners off of him. It's just any kind of game where you're playing and you're playing that kind of counter-attacking pressure, you can't get out. You have to go long. And if you go long, you have to hit channels and he didn't win a single header all bloody tournament anyway. But you need to, and and you have someone in Watkins that could do that, or you play Gordon, or you play, those wide players that do it. And as you said, Kane drops in, but it's just trying to fit everybody into that position. Simon says, yeah, we had the chance to get the ball in the box. There's no striker in there because he's in his own defensive third. Welcome to King's Football Show as well. Thanks for joining us. Southgate didn't have the courage to bench an injured Kane. That's all evidence the FA need to get rid. Heather's sitting on the fence. He's washed, says Ever. Enough of Harry Kane. She's seen enough, but she does say he's more of a poacher striker, isn't he? Not used to tracking back like he's been asked to do in the England team. Well, even when he was at Spurs, in his height, he never really ran. He had Son doing that. Then Dele Alli used to do it as well.
Yeah, he dropped deep, but not to the level we've seen him at England. Like England, he's generally spending majority of his game in midfield, whereas he did it for Spurs, but he was still always in the box and ready for threat, which is why he got all those goals. But it was like his legs have started to dwindle a little bit. We don't need you doing that in that team. The reason he did that at Spurs was because the quality wasn't quite there. You don't need to do that when you've got Rice and Foden and Bellingham and Saka and competent defenders and fullbacks. You do not need to be doing that role for this team. We just need you to score goals and more importantly, offer an outlet. If you're not going to score goals. And that was my main issue with Kane's thing, is there was no outlet for a counter. We didn't have someone to hold the ball up and bring other players in, relieve pressure. There was so many times, especially against Spain, when Saka or Mainu got the ball out and they look up and there's no one. There's absolutely no one. Sometimes you just need. Whereas on the opposite side, look what Morata was doing. And people were saying Morata did not have a good game. Like, I'm a fan of Morata. He didn't have a good game, but he did his job. He kept the defenders busy, and he was an outball at every single opportunity. He did that the whole Euros, which is why he started every game and why they made him the captain, because they know what he was offering the team. He helped bring others into it, and it was just him in front of goal. Don't rely on him for goals. But outside of that, he helped that team to gel and bring those two wingers into the game. And he was the outball the whole thing. Honestly, watching the two of them during that game was amazing, seeing what one does. One striker's doing for Spain and what one striker's doing for England, and knowing who is actually the better footballer based on what we've seen. It was just, and again, I think a lot of it is tactical, and it's what they work on. And I'm just lost for words.
It's maddening, isn't it? Because it's at the international football should be the peak, the absolute peak. And by no means are we saying that we're football tactical geniuses or anything like that, but it just seems like very straightforward. I mean, even the extent, once they brought Watkins on, he chased the goalkeeper down twice, who punted it long to us, and we got possession. And
we got the ball straight away.
It's just the kind of basics off of it. I mean, King's Football Show says the bigger issue, the FA are happy with Southgate ball. They haven't demanded a more attacking style and put no pressure on Southgate to change. But with Southgate the thing with Southgate is there are aspects, I think, regarding management that he does quite well. Tactically is not one of them. And he's a defensive manager, let's be honest. He's a defensive manager with an attacking team. The two things don't, he's trying to make a spaghetti bolognese with the ingredients for a bowl of cereal. That's what he's trying to do. But probably more the other way round, to be honest. But he's very good at managing, I think, the players in terms of the media, all of that stuff. And that's why he's taken us to where we're at with kind of galvanizing everybody. And that's why the FA love him, because that's kind of what they've got. They've got that part of the position. And the FA aren't football tactical geniuses. I mean, there's question marks over all sorts of stuff they do. So they're probably not going to be too fussed. I can't see them doing anything. I think it would need to be Southgate to come out and say, I think whatever he wants to do, they'll back him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm 100% behind you. That's exactly what's going to happen. He'll have to leave, or he will be in charge of the World Cup. And if he is, I won't be there. So I'll be buying the not Brazil. Oh God, who can even support?
Well, it's in America, isn't it?
There you go. Yeah,
it'll be middle of the night. You won't have to worry about it.
I'll get a USA top. Just support America,
Canada, all the way.
Yeah, I just don't. You know what it is? It's like, I don't even think necessarily England have to play attacking football, and I don't think they need an expert tactician. Like, we don't need to go and get Pep Guardiola. It's the argument I've seen, and this has been happening since Southgate, was he's pragmatic, and that's what you need to do with England, because that's the football culture of England on an international stage, is pragmatism. And I'm like, yes, I agree from a cultural point of view, it is, but that's not pragmatism. What he's doing, pragmatism is, in sport at least, is you have to basically get the best out of your strengths. You focus on your strengths and you focus on your weaknesses, You might have a style that you want to implement and a way that you want to play, but you put that to the side to basically just go, pragmatically, this is our strongest way of scoring goals. This is our weakness. That's it. Just address those two and forget about what I actually want to visualize in this game. Our strengths are Jude Bellingham carried Real Madrid for half a season. Harry Kane scored the most amount of goals in the top 5 leagues. Bukayo Saka was one of the best young wingers, if not one of the best wingers in the Premier League and probably top 5 leagues. Phil Foden won Premier League Player of the Season and scored how many goals from midfield?
Oh, ridiculous, yeah.
Declan Rice moved to Arsenal for £100 million and absolutely solidified our midfield. Kobbie Mainoo is a rising talent and is probably Man United's best midfielder, in terms of consistency right now. By far. John Stones, absolute amazing ball-playing defender. Kyle Walker kind of passed it, but his pace is useful. But yeah, I mean, the strengths are in that front four. They're all attacking players. They play in attacking systems. They play in systems that demand the ball and want to dominate their team. So you go, that's our strength. Play to that strength. What would you say is England's weakness? If you maybe the defense, because you say Maguire, the defense that he's gone with, that partnership has been disrupted. He's got Gay in there. So let's say the 2 centre backs. Fine. So you put two midfielders in front of them to protect it. Mainoo and Rice. There you go. Solved. Weakness solved. You've got Luke Shaw or Trippier, whatever you want to do. You've got Kyle Walker to cover as well with his pace. That's your weakness solved. Now you focus on the strength. It's like he's looked at the weakness and gone, how do I eliminate that weakness? But then he hasn't gone and looked at the strengths of the team. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you don't have to play attacking, tiki-taka football. What you have to do is like, okay, well, I want to be defensive. Fine. Play Anthony Gordon then. You play an actual attacking winger who's going to attack the space. Or bring Marcus Rashford and play him. Don't play Foden on the wing.
No, exactly. Playing people again. Watching England play people out of position, and you're like, even when we, Trippier,
and wondering why they're not playing well.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're looking at Trippier going, he's not a left back. We've got left backs. Okay, maybe they're not the greatest. Spain won it with bloody Mark Cucurella at left back because he fitted their system. He's had one of the worst seasons in the Premier League. Like
Kyle Walker and Trent.
Yeah.
Another thing, if that was Trent yesterday,
he'd have got
2 goals came from his side.
Yeah.
He would be on every newspaper in the country and be blamed for it. Not to say that it was completely Kyle Walker's fault, because I do think the first goal was actually Kobbie Mainoo's fault, because Mainoo didn't track the Dani Olmo, which
they
meant
got
Walker
overloaded, didn't they? Yeah,
they got overloaded, which meant Walker had to go inside. And you got to make a decision: who's the more dangerous person at this point, the one on the wing or the one in the middle? One in the middle. Second goal, he was at fault, but again, Saka didn't track back on both of them. He just looked knackered, to be honest, which is to be expected. But this whole thing of Trent can't defend, so he shouldn't be in the team, it's like, well, there's your weakness if you want to argue that, because I think he's actually not as bad defensively as people said. But if that's your weakness, you go, right, well, our strength is Trent Alexander-Arnold is our most creative player and has been for the last, since he burst into Liverpool's team. That's a strength, playing right back in his favourite position. His weakness is defensive. So what do? You put Declan Rice next to him to cover his defenses. There you go. Problem solved. You've got your strength in the team and you've solved the weakness in one go. But no, we don't train that. We try and get Trent into midfield.
and not only midfield, he was ending up in like the left DM position. You're like, why is that any use whatsoever? And the thing about when Trent was at his best for Liverpool a few seasons back, when they had Jordan Henderson doing the covering, when they had Gigi Wijnaldum, when they had the
Liverpool literally did
Rice
it.
Does they did it? There's the blueprint. That's where it is. And you could play him on that outside, and you could still have Walker's pace, and you got Walker's pace there to cover him if you want to play. So another case if he didn't know how to use a tool that he had. Same as Anthony Gordon.
In that it's easy, because you're right. Jurgen Klopp literally did it and won, and they were the best team in the world. They won the Champions League and the Premier League. They were the best team in the world across those 2 years, and he literally did it. He was like, Trent is our most creative player, but defensively he has got weaknesses. So Jordan Henderson, you are going to stick in front of him and you're going to cover that space and you're going to help him out and be his legs. And it worked. So you've seen it work. And you're right. Declan Rice could do the exact same role, plus more, because he's a better player than Jordan Henderson. So why would you not do that? Why would you not even train it? It's not like Trent just burst onto the scene this year. No. Trent has been around like a first team player for like 6 years. You've had so much time to train, and it's like, this is the other thing. It's like, it's not Southgate has had time. He's had time to try out new things, to try new players. He hasn't. He's stuck with what he wants to do, which hasn't worked time and time again. So why the hell do people think it's going to work at the World Cup? He's not going to change it. If he goes into the World Cup, he's playing the exact same way, people. Like, don't get it twisted. There might be 1 or 2 additions in that squad. He's playing the exact same football.
Yeah, there's no major difference. Let's go to a few in the chat. One there say Crazy Boom said you need to pick a tactic to suit the players who you want to play, or pick a team that suits the tactic you want to play. Top manager needs to choose one or the other. Yeah, it's a bit of a mix. Well, Martin's on the Eurotunnel back from Calais. Drove 12 hours from Berlin to Calais today. Been a wild experience, but the support yesterday was the best I've ever experienced following England. I guess I mean the atmosphere and all of that. Fair enough. You know, I know the result is a massive part of it, obviously, but yeah, I imagine the experience was absolutely crazy. Mr. Luke, or gang, everyone in the live chat, hope everyone is all right after yourself. We're all fine. We're used to it. The older you get, Mr. Luke, and you learn this as you get older, you just become more experienced in expecting what's going to happen. You just get so used to it. Crazy Boom also says he wants to now try and see someone make a bolognese with a bowl of cereal for the fun of it. Well, Southgate had a go. Southgate had a go. King says if England choose to play defensive football, do it with structure. You can play a 3-5-2 with Trent and Saka as wing backs, swinging in crosses to Kane, Tony, or Watkins and Tony in a 3-4-3. Gordon, Watkins, Saka. He's just not that manager, is he? He's just not that manager to go away. And as you said, I think the key is that he had so long to work it out, and we haven't been good. We haven't been good for this past year and a half in terms of general matches. I know it's friendlies, Nation League, and everything else like that. I mean, we're all very excited for that to come back in September to ruin the Premier League when that's just started. That's everyone's excitement. Nothing better than an England game after a Euros disappointment. So it won't be great. Rebecca, from sort of your side, what do you think were one of England's biggest problems in the tournament? Why they couldn't play so well?
There was quite a few. I mean,
the floor is yours.
Where do we start? No, I won't. It's just one of them. I think the issue with playing players out of position as much as we did. I mean, like Kieran Trippier, fair play to him. He put in a shift every match that we asked him to, but you could tell he wasn't in his natural position. He had to cut in, and you just had all of that. But it's like, I do feel as though playing players out of position was a big issue for us in terms of 1 week you're playing in your regular one, and then, we're just going to shove you in defence for the fun of it. Why not? But then there were like highlights throughout, and we did have good 5-minute spells here, there, and everywhere in different matches, but we just couldn't hold on for a full 90, it seemed. As you've said, like us attacking, that was never an issue. Like, we do have a very good attack-sided team, but there were just a lot that it were little things that just all contributed together that it didn't work. I think subs was also an issue. You've got a 26-man squad, and you're only using you're not using enough of them, because it's like Anthony Gordon, he should have been on, as much as it pains me to say with him, but put on the England shirt and I'll support him anyway. So it's one of them, he should have been on. Bringing on Watkins earlier, because as we've said, Kane wasn't in form and Watkins was such a game changer. I do feel as though keeping Watkins and Palmer as subs was a better choice than starting them, to bring in that change and to try and inject the energy back in. And we did see that quite a few times when we did bring Palmer on, and I do feel as though that worked. But we needed to do it earlier. It's like we just plateaued throughout, and it's like when you needed that change, you just stood there. It's like, just get them on, just try and change it up. And I do think that was one of the issues, was we just didn't use the squad enough as we could have done.
There was no point in any game either that we were comfortable. We never put a couple. We were always up against it, fighting hard, we look leggy. We always look leggy towards the end of a tournament. But that almost compounded the fact, I think, as well, that we really struggled to keep possession, and some of that was because Spain's counter press is fantastic. They've always been good at that. As soon as you lose the ball, they're around you like bees to a honeypot. But we just couldn't keep the ball. And as we said, because the long ball we were hitting the long ball, but it was getting kind of no joy. We also didn't get out of those areas, because there was a couple of moments, I think, probably about 15 minutes in, we got out and we managed to get Saka down the right-hand side for a couple. So the space was there. We just didn't have the capability to play through that kind of area of the pitch, flip it out the other side and go. And then when Walker was going on the overlaps, Spain were exposed. and we just couldn't get to that kind of area. And some of that, again, Kane couldn't hold it up, so we couldn't get there. And it just seemed like Spain always felt confident in that game. You could kind of, there was no, I know everyone said that 1-1 they were wavering a little bit, and yeah, 1-1 the momentum was there for a couple of minutes, and then we had a throw in and passed it back to Pickford, and he smacked it back to them, and you went, well, okay, it's all disappeared. It's all disappeared off from there. We'll come on to Spain quickly before we go back to England and maybe some of the players and go through that area. But Spain for you, Lucas, how good is this Spanish side? I mean, obviously best in the tournament, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But how do they sit in terms of, obviously we saw that great Spanish side of the Iniestas and the Xavis. It's very different.
8 to 12. It really is. And I think they were the best team in the tournament. So, and the better team won in the final for sure. So they 100% deserve to win that. You know what was good with them is after the first game, they rotated and they brought other players into that squad. And you felt every time they made a sub, they never got weaker throughout the entire tournament. They took off Morata. They took off against Germany. They took off their entire front three and still won the game. The momentum shifted, but they got it done, and they were defensively solid. They got a lot of players there who play in so many different leagues, so many different teams. I checked it. They have one player from Barcelona and one player from Real Madrid. First time ever in Spanish history they've had the lowest amount of allocation from the two biggest clubs in La Liga. They were really good. I think they knew what they wanted to do the game plan. Spain have always played beautiful football. They've just had that gap after David Villa, Iniesta, Xavi. They were a bit, they were in transition in the last 8 years, you'd probably say. But the talent's always there. They're just such brilliant footballers. Like across the entire pitch, you could just tell their first touch. They're technically outstanding footballers, but there was always an element of they didn't have a killer instinct since that era. You never really felt like they could outpass you and have the ball for 70% of the game, but you never really felt like they were going to score for a big chunk of some of their games. Whereas this tournament, the difference was they had two wingers who were direct, and that's very non-traditional for Spanish football. It's always been ball-playing wingers or a false nine. And again, they got Morata, who's like a traditional number 9 in this team, and then two wingers who get the ball and go at you, who don't pass back, and they also make runs in behind. So when you got a midfield 3 who are just technically outstanding and progressing the ball bit by bit, and then you've got two players who run in and a striker who will drop deep, who will go forward, who will hold the ball up, who's good at one-touch passing, it becomes a very dangerous proposition. And I think that's what got it over the line. It was set up in a way to get the best out of what this team could do. And the players he picked as well, it was spot on in every position of the pitch. And he rotated, he rested them, he made good subs. I mean, the Germany one was the one which is debatable because that could have gone the other way when he took off. I'm not sure about taking off the entire front three, but for the rest of the tournament, no complaints. I think Spain was slick, and they turned it on against us after that. When we were in the second half, we could have been 3-0 down in 10 minutes. So you saw what they were capable of when their opponents just slipped for a second. But they were good, and I think they'll get better. There's a lot of young players in that team, and some really outstanding performances this tournament, like Dani Olmo, Yamal, Williams. Honestly, I think Lenormand was solid the whole tournament. Danny Carvajal is brilliant, as always, and Cucurella was a surprise for sure because of the season he had. But he was excellent for them. Goalkeeper's good too. So yeah, they 100% deserve it, and they were also they were entertaining. They were the most fun team to watch the whole tournament. Them and Germany were just really fun. They wanted to play, they wanted to entertain, they wanted to win. And I can't say the same for Portugal, France, England, or who else got to the semi-final. Well, I mean, Netherlands were all right as well, actually, to be fair, just not very good.
They didn't quite have the enough quality compared to the Spain. There's just so much. I mean, we have obviously covered through this, we do the Spanish league updates, and we were starting to mention Yamal about halfway through the season and said this kid's starting to do some bits and picking him up a little bit more. But as you said, that Spanish team now having wing threat is oh God, why have they done that? It was hard enough when it was tiki-taka, and now suddenly they're okay, well, if that doesn't work, we'll go counter-attacking, and these kids are bloody electric. And the quickness in which they moved the ball across from right to left for both goals, really intelligent. And so the manager in particular, having come through all the youth teams, managing that style, like we said, Rodri going out, what's his name, Zubizeta coming in.
Zubimendi,
exactly the same, no change. Knew the team, knew the position, and that area. I mean, Spain have produced some fantastic managers. You only got to look at the Premier League at the minute. We've got what, 5 or 6 Spanish managers now.
Yeah.
Pep, Arteta, Unai Emery, Lopetegui's back, Iriola of Bournemouth as well.
Yeah.
So at least 5 I can say. That's a quarter
all
of the
doing
Premier
very
League.
good jobs as well. At
all
least
doing,
in the last season.
Yeah, all having a very good sort of season coming through. So turning it round to our manager, because there's obviously the questions coming in the chats. If Southgate leaves, who will be next? And I'll give you some of their answers first before we go anywhere else. Mr. Luke has gone for Neil Warnock, which is obviously a very different kind of thought. I don't think Europe's ready. Europe have never been ready for Neil Warnock, that is for sure. Simon obviously goes for Eddie Howe. Eddie's been mentioned before. Heather says Eddie's too young, but thinks, what about Klopp? What about Klopp? Klopp's obviously having a break. That would be quite a change. Even into Jariti as well. Thank you, join us in the chat as well. But what do you guys think? Rebecca, come to you first. Who's the person that you're? If you could have anybody in the world, who are you having?
Well, I've been speaking to like family about this, and the one that I keep saying is Lee Carsley. He's done the under-21s now, and when you look at the squad and you look at who is coming up and who are currently in the squad, they've gone through the under-21s. He knows them. He knows what to do. He's won the under-21s Euro, so I think get him in. I mean, Sean Dyche in a tracksuit would be ace as England manager, but I do want him to stay at Everton.
That would be something else. To be honest, every time, so Lee Carsley, I've not heard that name for a while, but I obviously know he's under 21 manager, but he hasn't come up too much. I always think of him and Thomas Gravison in centre midfield, the Mitchell brothers, when you used to have the pair of them terrorising the midfield back in the day. I mean, that's the route. Obviously, they went with Southgate.
And Stuart Pearce before him,
and Stuart Pearce as well. So there is previous sort of form, isn't it? And Simon reckons because it's the cheap,
safe option, isn't it? Yeah, the cheap option,
the cheap option to go for that. Lucas, who do you think? I mean, who's realistic?
I actually wasn't thinking about it, to be honest, but I generally do think Sean Dyche would be amazing, because I think you would get. You would get what people what people think Southgate is doing is what Sean Dyche actually does in pragmatism, but actually he is very he knows how to get the strength out, in terms of attacking football, especially at that Burnley side, Chris Wood and bloody Barnes up top. I think he could get you in them. But I do think out of the current crop of managers, if it has to be English, I do think Eddie Howe is probably the best suited, because I think not necessarily he's going to bring an amazing style of play, but he is going to play, he's going to play relatively attacking. He's going to want the ball. He's also going to be tactically flexible. And I think his game management is what this English team needs. I think Eddie Howe will make changes if it's not working, and we'll switch it around. But I think from the very get-go, he's going to try and implement a style that tries to dominate games, but he is tactically flexible. And I think he'll be really good. Good man manager as well. And I think he'll have that thing of chemistry and keep that going. But if we're talking about who's available, I would give Graham Potter a shot, I would give him a shot.
He's been out a while now, hasn't he? Year and a half.
About a year?
Yeah, about a year. Because he left before.
Oh, he was before Lampard, wasn't he?
So it was before Lampard, and Lampard did half a season.
It was last year, did he get sacked in Jan, or was it? No, it was Champions League. It was Feb or March, wasn't it?
You're right. Yeah, it was the first round of the Champions League, wasn't it?
He's been out for a while, yeah.
So it could.
Yeah, I think it will be. He'll play I'm just looking at the set of players we have in there and what Potter likes to do, and I'm thinking that could work. That could actually work. It's just if you've given the time, 2 years to get them ready for the World Cup, I think that's enough time. And I think he knows the league. He knows a lot of these players already, and I think his style of football with the players we've got, it fits in quite well. But yeah, Eddie Howe for me. If you want to be English, if you want to get a foreign manager, which I don't know if the FA are ready to take that chance again, they're probably burnt from Capello and Sven. I do like Poch for the England team. I would love Mourinho.
Mourinho, we've said, would be
I would
absolute
love
option.
Mourinho.
I mean, let's be honest. I know he's gone to Turkey, but if the FA rang him up, he'd be straight on that plane out of there.
I genuinely think he wins any tournament with that England side. I think, and it will be horrible to watch. But I think you'll look at it and you'll go, "We're going to win this. Like, we're just going to absolutely win it." Because I think again with Spurs, what we did with Spurs was he played very defensive, and it was it was nasty at times, but the counter attacking was in there, and he got Harry Kane scoring a hell of a lot of goals.
He's got Harry Kane scoring goals, and he's got that shithousery as well. He's
got that shithousery.
That siege mentality will be like everyone hates us, so it's about to, WWE.
Exactly.
It's time to become the heel.
Into that. Yeah,
it's time to be Roman Reigns and go screw everybody else. We're going on the streak.
I think England as well. They're too nice. That's the chemistry stuff is all nice, but that team that you saw how Spain were. Trying to play the ref and getting in the players, and Carvajal would like that. You saw them do that. Sometimes you need a bit of that, and I think someone like a Mourinho or Sean Dyche in particular, like, just sometimes you got to be a bit of a nasty bastard if you have to. But I would love to see Mourinho as the England manager. That will never happen. But yeah, how to answer the question, how I think is perfect. But we obviously got to see how that goes on with Newcastle. Not how my second choice would be Graham Potter.
Would be Potter. How's an interesting one, because obviously with Newcastle at the minute, Stavely and whatever have just moved out, haven't they? There's kind of that plan that I think that was always kind of part plan. There's a change going on there, and he was their person. He was their guy to kind of stick with. So could be an interesting start of the season to see how it goes. I mean, I'm surprised. I would imagine Southgate's really kind of made the call privately. I would have thought, because the next England game's in like 6 weeks. So they're going to have to start thinking he can't take really too long to. The FA are going to want to
get out while you're ahead as well, because I think another tournament it kills. It gets nasty, and it kills.
If he leaves now, and then whatever happens with the next England manager, if the next England manager takes us to glory, Southgate will get you built the foundations.
He'll get some
credit, and if they fail, they go,
it's actually a win-win for him leaving now.
Back. Yeah, Gareth will be back in 2030.
It's so true. He wins in every scenario if he leaves right now, because he's still got some credit. People will say it's fair, you've gone. What's the saying in Dark Knight? Live long enough to see yourself become a villain. If he stays at World Cup and it gets worse, he will put a target on his back.
Yeah, and the World Cup's harder to win than the Euros, because you start adding the Argentinians and Brazilians and
different styles of play.
African nations are tough to beat. There's lots of different, and it's in America, so you've got that whole kind of. It'll be hotter at times. It'll be a different time of the day. It will be a completely different tournament. The chat is saying Driti was just she'd love to see Sean Dyche as England manager one day, but love him at Everton. Crazy Boom loves a bit of Sean Dyche. Simon says he'd love Mark Robins. I'm not ready to see him leave. Just leave. I like Mark Robins, and I think he's doing a great job. But I'm not sure that's probably going to be on the list. Poor Burnley have now got Scott Parker. Surely that's not the next step after that. Eddie Howe, Graham Potter. Simon says that Potter's probably still living off his Chelsea compensation. Darren says Eddie Howe, togetherness, tactical and brutal subs, ballsy manager. Exactly. Mr. Luke says that his dad's not having it. His dad is a Newcastle fan and says no, thank you very much. And Simon says Mourinho is the modern day sporting club. He is something else.
I'll just add something to a check with Southgate and his record, because even though I do think he has got some credit, I think people forget to apply context in it. So 2018 World Cup, we beat Tunisia, who were ranked 21st in the world. Panama, who ranked 55th. Round of 16, Colombia, that was the penalties, who were ranked 16th. And in the quarterfinal, we beat Sweden, again on the penalties, which were ranked 24th. We then lost to Croatia, who were ranked in the 11th, but they were playing outstanding. They were a good side in that tournament, but
that was peak Modric, wasn't it? Yeah,
peak Modric. They then dropped off. Next tournament, Euro 2020, we beat Croatia, who were ranked 14th. Then we beat Czech Republic, ranked 40th. And then go to the round of 16.
Drew was Scotland,
who were ranked like they're not even here, but they're
975th. Yeah.
Round of 16, we beat Germany. Now, this is the one that people always like to big up. It's like he beat Germany. That German side, may I remind you, got knocked out of the group stages in the previous World Cup and dropped down to 15th in FIFA's rankings, which is the lowest that Germany side has ever ranked. By the time we played them, they ranked 12th. They also didn't win a game for 2 years. So when people say we beat Germany, yeah, okay. Quarterfinal against Ukraine after that, ranked 24th.
They were awful.
And then
that
semi-final, they were awful. We finally beat our top 10 side, Denmark, ranked 10th. Denmark have not been in the top 10 since then, by the way. So, yeah. World Cup, Iran, 21st. Wales, 19. Senegal, who was the other team I'm missing in the World Cup? It was another one that it was a South American team, wasn't it?
No, did we play Wales? Did we play Wales in the World Cup?
Wales, Iran, and it'll come back to me.
It was
why isn't it here?
Is it someone?
Someone
It
in the
wasn't
chat might know.
Paraguay. Was it Ecuador?
Yes, it was. I'm sure it was a South American team. Oh no, USA. Yeah,
USA.
we drew.
Yes, well done, Heather. Yeah.
USA, who were ranked 23rd. Round of 16, Senegal ranked 18th, and then we lose to France, who were in the top 5 at the time. We go on to Euro 2024. Slovenia ranked 58th, Serbia ranked 29th, Denmark ranked 19th, Slovakia ranked 47th, Switzerland ranked 13th, and Netherlands ranked 7th. So in every international tournament, he has beaten 2 teams who have been ranked in the top 10. And those 2 teams, one of them was Denmark, who haven't been in the top 10 since then. And the other was Netherlands. So I'll give you Netherlands if you really want to take that as a win. But we all know how poor they are. I don't even know how Netherlands are top 7, to be honest. But that's what I mean. Like 2 finals and a semi-final. Is 2 finals and a semi-final? Quarterfinal, semi-final.
World Cup was a semi. Yeah, we had semi-final, quarterfinal, final.
There you go.
Tournaments.
On paper, it looks amazing, but when you look at it, the draws have been extremely kind to us. Can you imagine if we played Germany in Euros when Spain played them?
Oh, we'd have been done. We'd have been done.
We'd be out.
Yeah. The way we were playing at that point in the tournament was to sneak past Slovakia. Germany would have ripped us to shreds in their backyard, I think. You've got... And the other thing with those finals and that position is as well, is that the opportunities were there. It wasn't like, yesterday, we didn't get played off the park, but we were clearly second best yesterday. It wasn't the case in the Italy game. The Italy game, that was not a great Italy side. Really wasn't. It was a good Italy side, but a winnable game. The same with the Croatia side. It was a very, very good Croatia side, but again, possible, winnable to win.
We scored first in both those games.
Score first in both of those games. And that's the other thing. This tournament, we conceded first every time. We're always having to kind of drag our way back up. And you can't, he played a moment style, which is what, to be fair, Man United have been accused of in recent years. And it's a problem because you can't produce that all the time. And the best sides are the most consistent because they rely on their system, they rely on their know-how, and they're not just one guy is going to do something. Spain scored team goals. Both of those goals were team goals. And whoever's on the end, well, in the semi-final, okay, you had that brilliant goal by Yamal, but it was Williams in the final. Another one kind of will step up. And most of their goals came from team play. And we haven't even mentioned it. They had Rodri and Fabian Ruiz in centre midfield. Just magicians, absolute magicians.
Keep everything ticking along.
Oh, it was fun. It was fantastic. But so we've done the manager. We'll run through the squad and just sort of think how we thought everybody did from sort of 1 to 26. We can go 27 if you want to go for Braithwaite, Rebecca, and tell us again how it would have been different if Jared was there. But we'll start from 1. Pickford, Rebecca. Yeah, good tournament for Pickford for you.
He was my England player of the tournament. I don't think he put a foot wrong in it. He doesn't. He's Pickford, isn't he? I think that's the only way you can describe him. He's a nutter, but I think if he played for anyone else, I don't think we'd like him. But because he's ours, you've got to love him. But yeah, the saves he was pulling off and just the way he was able to try and control the defence in front of him, it's just, he always shows up when he needs to be. And yeah, it was a standout for me. And yeah, I'm going to be biased because he is Everton, but I think everyone will agree in terms of he pulled off what he needed to do. Yeah, there was a couple where a lot of people were getting annoyed with him because he's a very vocal keeper, but I feel as though if you've got someone like him to try and keep the head and show a bit of shithousery, then go for it. But yeah, it was another good tournament for him, but just a shame that there was other situations and issues that meant that we did concede a few.
There was other issues. Do you think? Because I think in terms of his shot stopping, I think he made a good couple of saves in the sort of final. I think ones you'd kind of expect him to make, but he still did well. And he came. There was a couple of crosses actually later on. He kind of did quite well with. I thought that could have been trouble. But Lucas, the long kicking, is that something you look more at Pickford for? Or do you think that's tactical? Southgate,
It's definitely tactical. Has to be. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that was the only negative I say with Pickford. Outside of that, he was solid. He's definitely been one of England's most consistent goalkeepers at tournaments. Like, has barely put a foot wrong. I think that the Netherlands goal was a great strike that he probably could have done a little bit better with that one, but it came out of nowhere. But outside of that, you can't fault him for any of the goals we conceded. And also, he saved us a lot of times. Even his just like coming out to catch things from corners and set pieces and keeping that defense organized. He was solid. Yeah, 100% agree. One of the better players this tournament.
Yeah, definitely very good. Right back, we've mentioned him briefly, but I mean, Kyle Walker, I didn't look right for me this tournament. I thought early on, Kyle Walker was getting exposed. It said the pace gets him out of a lot of stuff. I didn't think he was reading. I've never seen him give the ball away so much as well. He was awful in possession at times this tournament. So yeah, for me, Kyle Walker not the greatest tournament. Do you think it's 2 years away and he's because
No. I think we need to move on.
Time that Man City and Pep tends to get them out about now.
Yeah, I think we have to move on from Kyle Walker. Get Trent in that team, please. Like, he wasn't awful, but yeah, he just looks like he's past it now. Even last year at Man City, he was very shaky. Usually he is pretty solid and his pace bails him out, but he's very shaky in possession and he let a lot of chances. And they conceded a lot of goals from his side, Man City. Like, the bulk of the goals came down that side. So yeah, I think it's time we move on from him.
I think City will start because he had some issues with Pep in a little while ago. There was rumours he was going to go last summer. I think there was some stuff from Munich. I wouldn't be surprised if City went in for a right-sided defender this summer and start that transition because Pep doesn't muck about when he thinks someone's the same. I think he's thinking about it with De Bruyne. You can already see he's thinking about it with De Bruyne. He's certainly thinking about it with Walker for sure. Heather thinks Walker's washed. Casey Boom says Kyle Walker should walk to the bench and be happy, just be the experienced voice only in the dressing room. And Simon says, no, he doesn't make the World Cup squad. Sam Trent Alexander-Arnold has to be the starting right back from now on. I think, whoever comes in, or if it's Southgate, he's got to bloody work it out. But whoever comes in, I'm sure will be thinking, we've got to get Trent in this team and make that work. And they may learn something because Slot's going to do something different at Liverpool and we'll have to do something similar. So maybe there's something they can take there. Centre-backs, John Stones, Mark Gahey. I think Gahey did very well. Gahey again was another one for me. Had a really good tournament. You think, Rebecca, you're happy with those two performing? I know Branthwaite should have been there, but
Yeah. They both did well. I do feel like we missed Mark when he was suspended. But I think Ezri Konsa coming in, he did well to cover it. But yeah, that centre-back duo, it did seem to work and they did sit comfortably in front of Pickford, but I will still always say Jared should have been there.
It was missing a Jared. Mr. Luke thinks Mark Gahey has been our best player throughout the tournament. Do you agree, Lucas? Gahey came in and
you could definitely make a case. But both of them too, I think exactly the same. I mean, as the tournament progressed, I think Stones in the latter stages, where I think Gahey early on was the standout player for me for like all group stage games, and then the first knockout round. But I think semi-final, final, John Stones showed his quality, especially in that Spain game. I think he was really bringing them all together. And some of the challenges he made in that game, and also bringing the ball out from defence, he was outstanding. So
that one run, that one run on the left hand side, and it was almost like you could see him go,
good, man.
Screw this.
Yeah, exactly. He's so good. The quality is there, but those two, like, you see, like, I don't want to give shit to Harry Maguire, but it was like we've been saying, like, there are better options, like English defenders. Like, we've just seen it now. Mark Gahey was thrown in last minute because that injury came very last minute. And look, you can't tell me he didn't. Who's been better? Maguire in that tournament, this Euro 2024. That might be the best performance. That might be a better performance than we've had from any of Maguire across any of the tournaments. That might sound harsh, but I don't think Maguire's necessarily been bad, but I think we're comparing like an 8 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10 performance because, you know, and that's one tournament. So it's like, there are better options, Gareth. Like, you just have to give these guys a chance and put them in there because we can all see it with our eyes. Like, Marguerite's a quality centre-back.
Yeah.
Ezri Konsa, quality centre-back, who plays anywhere across that back four when needed for. And Unai Emery does not pick, well, you know, outside of Longley, he doesn't usually have defenders in there who aren't like, can't do a job. And Konsa's been a mainstay in that team, and they got Champions League this year for a reason. And Konsa is decent. He stepped in. But yeah, Gay and Stones up there.
It's an interesting future in that position because I think going into the tournament, we all were going, not sure. Centre backs may be the one area you go out going, not sure how we're going to sort of fit in. Obviously, and we have got Branthwaite coming through. That, you know, by the World Cup, you've got Gahey, Branthwaite, Konsa already there, and so Stones isn't. How old Stones now? Stones has got a tournament or two left in him, no doubt. But
20,
yeah,
still in his 20s, I think.
Still in his 20s, so he's certainly going to be about for the World Cup as long as he's fit. Centre backs were spot on. Left back was obviously an option. I was a problem, for the whole tournament. Trippier was on the left, and, you know, not his fault he doesn't have a left foot, but it was a massive issue. There was no balance. Everything was cutting inside. Was that a failure of Gareth not having another left back, Lucas, as well? Because, I mean, I thought personally Shaw did a really good job in the final on Yamal, considering he's not played since February, but that was one of 7 games in the end that we had him for.
Yeah, I don't think Trippier was good this tournament on that side, but he's playing out of position. Luke Shaw should have probably been brought in earlier if he was fit. You should, like, if he's there, bring him in earlier, even if it's for like one half at a time. Just get him in that team, because you saw in the final, like, he is a really good left back, Luke Shaw. I do think United are possibly going to look at an option just because with the injury record.
We've missed him. You look at United, a lot of the problems, and even like, you know, Rashford had a poor season, but because Shaw's been so key, Shaw's so important for us bringing the ball out of defence, and he's been the same for England as well.
Yeah, it's true. He's a very good ball playing left back. So yeah, he was really good. But I don't know why he didn't take Tyrick Mitchell. I really don't know. Like, we were struggling for that area, and even I was talking to my bro about it. He was like, why didn't they just take Ben Chilwell? Like, I was like, yeah, that's shocking season, like really bad. But if you're struggling for numbers, let's be real. Ben Chilwell really going to drop a stinker for it in that England side?
Was he worse than Cucurella this season?
Exactly. Yeah. You see, if Cucurella can turn it around, it's like, if we're struggling for left backs, you might as well have just taken him and just gone. Because I think, Chilwell's been awful, but I don't think he goes and puts that England show on and drops a stinker in that system. Like, he doesn't. We're so defensively focused. You could put him, and if not, Tyrick Mitchell had a great season, and like last 6 months solid, but most of the season was pretty good. Why not take him and give you some options? So you were stuck playing Trippier, who didn't know how to overlap at all because he's not left-footed.
No, it was almost just like there was a barrier there. There was no way I'm going down that line.
Yeah,
it's not happening.
A huge gap on that side the whole time because Foden wanted to be in midfield he wanted to be in the 10, his actual position.
Yeah, which was just mad because you couldn't stretch the pitch, and then when you got it over to Saka, there was already 3 blokes waiting over there because they knew it was coming about 10 minutes before. Tough one for sort of left back. Moving into centre midfield, obviously Declan Rice being the kind of key mainstay, and then over the tournament he moved from Trent and he put he had Gallagher in there, didn't he, as kind of the more defensive option, and then he moved into Mainu. Starting with Rice, how do you think Rice did, Rebecca, overall?
I thought he did his job. I mean, could have got a late equaliser against Spain, but yeah, I feel like it was one of them. He didn't put a foot wrong, and he did what he had to do throughout.
Watching Rice week in, week out, Lucas, were you frustrated at seeing how he was used compared to Arsenal? Was it difficult to?
I was, because I don't think he was like as bad as people are saying he was, but compared to what he did for Arsenal last season, it was a huge drop. I think that's where the people have very high expectations for Rice based off what he was doing for West Ham and then Arsenal, and then he was in the England team. He looked off the pace a bit, but all the talent's there. Like the way he would just like chase players down, win the ball back, like keep things moving. But he really had a few howlers at moments in quite a few of those games, which I think was quite disappointing because usually he's very, like, he's not error prone at all. in our Arsenal side. So I think it wasn't Arsenal Rice, but he wasn't as bad as people making out to be. Like he was poor for his standard, I think. But he's one of England's best players. Like, he just is.
He's the one player if you didn't have there, you'd kind of go, what do we do now?
Yeah.
And if
He's
Gareth
arguably
Southgate
one of the most
mentions the name,
irreplaceable ones, yeah.
if he mentions the name Calvin Phillips ever again,
the KP word,
the KP word, which is one of the most bizarre interviews I've ever seen.
Declan Rice is actually the only irreplaceable player in that team.
Yeah,
because no one else can do what he does.
No one else can do what he does. You've got ball playing midfield, like they're starting, obviously Mainoo came in. We didn't see any of Adam Wharton, who's a very good ball playing midfielder as well, coming through. So those two options alongside him are going to be really interesting moving forward. How did you think? So Kobbie Mainoo obviously broke through. I obviously love him. He's my star boy. But was he as good? I think the final maybe, struggled a bit, but games leading up, I thought he was strong.
Yeah, he was one of the brighter prospects like in that team, especially when he got put into the team. Like straight away, you were like, "Oh, this is the midfielder we should have been starting," which we all knew because we've seen him play for Man United last season. Do the exact same thing, carry the ball very well, close control, good first touch, and also quite defensively, capable in terms of his positional awareness and where he should be on the pitch as a DM or central midfielder. Rather, but yeah, I think the final was a bit too much for him. I think it was more fatigue than it was him like overwhelmed with the occasion. I think it just looked like fatigue, like he just couldn't keep up with the pace of the game anymore. And he's played a lot of football for United, and then going into the England team that early on in the tournament, I think he just struggled. Outside of that, he was solid.
I thought it was good. It was just a bit in the final because he's usually very good in those pressing situations. Suit him. He's very good at getting it in, popping it, and I thought he might be the key to get us out of those sort of areas. But I think, as you said, he looked a little bit kind of leggy off. Were you happy with Kobbie Mainoo in there, Rebecca? Do you think that's the England midfield going forward?
Yeah, he was an exciting one, and he brought a different quality to the England side. As you both said, I do think it was more fatigue in the final than anything because, like, you've seen him play throughout the season for United, and it was just, I don't think, because I have seen quite a few saying, like, oh, it was the moment of the final coming up against Spain, but I genuinely do just think it's fatigue. And to say that was his first proper, like, England tournament, it was incredible, and I did think he did his job again, and he's going to be one to keep a lookout in the England side because I do think he's going to take it far.
He's also had, this is his first full season. And it wasn't like Man United used him sparingly. Our midfield was utter trash, so he had to play all the time. So undoubtedly, he's got to be sort of feeling it of having that kind of long season. I only hope now he gets a lovely holiday. Have a holiday, Kobbie. Have a break. I don't want to see you in the Community Shield. Don't worry about any of that nonsense. We'll see you August 11th or whenever it is that we start. Drew says she loves Kobbie. Can't wait to see what he's like in future England tournaments. Elsewhere in midfield, say, not the biggest fan of Conor Gallagher. Do you think he gets scapegoated a bit because he's not the option we want in games? As soon as his name kind of came on, I didn't realise this, but they were saying, a podcast I listened to today, before we went behind, before we went 2-1 down, he was readying Conor Gallagher and Kieran Trippier as the subs.
Yeah, it was absolutely insane. Like, what's wrong with this guy? Conor Gallagher, please don't take him to the World Cup. Just don't. I don't see what that kind of player profile offers a team like ours in international football based on the midfielders that we have. You don't need someone to press and run around and have that energy in midfield like you don't. I know France have it with Kante, but that's Kante. Like, it's a different piece. And Kante actually has the technical ability, and he can play. Yeah, we're playing Conor Gallagher is like purely just to. But it was so bad at one point with the midfield. I was like, throw him on, like just do something because like maybe we just need someone to run around here and just help us out because we're getting run through midfield. But yeah, I just don't think, especially now, like we mentioned, Wharton coming through. There's better midfielders who can like, they're not going to run around, but they don't need to in touch football. It's slower. It's much slower. You don't need. Conor Gallagher is good in the Premier League for what he does because the Premier League relies on that intensity of the press and you need midfielders who are consistently running. Don't need that international football, and he doesn't offer enough to justify being in that team over some of the other names.
No, I think he's gonna struggle. I Chelsea love buying so many players. He's going to get swamped over there eventually, isn't he? As well, I think, because they'll buy another 7 centre midfielders every season, so he's going to have competition all the time unless he moves. So yeah, that's the centre midfield. Moving more into the kind of attacking midfield, we'll go with Phil Foden first. I mean, against Netherlands for half an hour, 40 minutes, we went, oh, here we go, here he is. And then not. I mean, some of that, I think, again, bit system with him, the positions he was in. Were you disappointed with Foden, Rebecca, considering what we all have to watch him do for bloody Man City every week?
Yeah, when you do like a comparison between City Foden and then this Foden, you're like, where was he at times? It was an interesting one because it's like you have seen him in previous tournaments and he has been like our key player that we go to. But I do think the playing him out of position, like he didn't know where to go quite a few of the matches. Like he was here, there, and everywhere, and you did always see him trying to like gravitate back to his original position. So I do feel as though that did massively impact his tournament.
Yeah, he didn't struggled to pick the ball up in certain areas. I think where he can face a defender and where he's really his most dangerous. Was he another sacrifice of the system? Lucas just didn't suit Foden.
Yeah, but I think it doesn't help him. His case with him being, we know what Man City's like and how some of these players perform outside of that system, especially on the international stage. And I think Foden's profile was impacted quite a bit by his performances at the Euros. Overall, people going, oh, a lot of people are like, he's very effective in that Man City team, but pure footballing ability, Cole Palmer is better than him. Like, I just think he is. And it's not like Cole Palmer had a bad season. He was neck and neck with him last season, but you just see like, I'm sure we'll get into Cole Palmer, but that kid is an actual, like, on the borders of a world-class footballer, I think. And no matter what team you put him in, look up at Chelsea, well, he is going to, cause havoc. Foden, I think, is very good, but he has to be in the right system. I don't think you can just pluck Foden and put him anywhere and he's going to perform. I think if you get Foden in the right system, he's a very, very good footballer, but he's not a world-class footballer, so you can't just put him on the left and hope he'll do something. And it was that's going to be one of the big talking points as to England's failure. I think it already is the use of Foden. He'll get some blame, Southgate will get some blame. But yeah, I think there's a bit of 50-50. At some points, you've got to just turn up if you are an elite footballer. You, especially, it's not like you play in a fixed system at Man City. It's very dynamic. So you do play. He does go on the left. He does go on the right. They move around. So sometimes you've got to just get it done on your own. I don't think Foden did enough, but I do think the system wasn't helping him out. So it's a bit of shared with him and Southgate, in my opinion.
It's a bit tricky. Crazy Boom says it's hard to judge a player in his Man City form because all the players just fit into what Pep wants outside that system. I think it's very much it. Are we starting to get to Gerrard Lampard 2.0 with Foden and Bellingham? Are we going to have this problem with overall?
We might, it's actually, we might. I think he can work if Foden plays in front of Bellingham. Bellingham plays in the midfield next to a Rice, but. Yeah, I think it's the balance is off. So you might have to drop one of them. And for me, it's open. I'm sorry, the Bellingham. We'll get onto Bellingham in a second, but I don't think he was that much better than Foden, to be honest, because he's definitely not a 10.
No, and particularly if Cole Palmer's coming through the way that he's coming through as well, then you're not going to be able to ignore that door. You can't ignore that door going forward. We'll come on to Bellingham. What do you think, Rebecca? Obviously, he scored the first goal of the tournament. We'll all remember the bicycle kick because it dug us out the shit, for want of a better word. An incredible goal, an incredible moment. And obviously, Bellingham has had an unbelievable season for his first season at Real Madrid, but a very, very long season and looked leggy. How did you rate Jude's tournament overall?
I think fatigue did hit him towards the end, especially the final. I mean, he played every match that he could play. It was one of them, again, I think, playing him out of position massively cost us. And it's like, depending on where we were playing, like there were times where he got the goals and he did put in a shift. But I do feel like there were elements, and we can say this for majority of the team, you're playing a player out of position, you're not going to get the best out of that player. And I do think we did not get the best out of Jude Bellingham, and it was because of the tactic and the way we set up. You change it, and I think, like as you said, if you're to play Bellingham and Foden, like one Bellingham behind or along with Rice, you will get something different. And I do feel as though we would have had the Jude Bellingham that we know. Yeah, it's going to be hard to always say that when he's playing at Real Madrid and it is a system that he works well in, but it does seem to be that tactically it just didn't work for him. He did what he needed to do with the goals, and there were some standout moments, but I do think his tournament was massively shadowed by the fact he wasn't in the position and he wasn't like the Jude Bellingham that we know.
Didn't look happy in that final, being on the left at all.
No.
Kind of when you caught him, he was not a happy boy at that. And I felt a little bit, particularly in the final, he's trying to, and I think I love Bellingham, trying to be a little bit Roy of the Rovers. There was a couple where he's hanging on to it that little bit long. There was,
just pass it.
Trying to do something in the one. It was a little bit like we all dream when we're kids of dribbling around everybody and scoring that perfect goal. And kind of there was a little bit of I'm going to do this about it, and it just, I think a couple of times he got caught doing that. He's got an amazing ability, and I wouldn't kind of, to an extent, wouldn't blame him for that either, because he's frustrated and he's watching bugger all happening. So he's like, screw it, I'm going to try something, and we've seen what he can produce. So he looked leggy at the end of a season. Do you think that's fair on Bellingham, Lucas?
Yeah, wrong. Same with Foden, wrong position. Which makes even less sense than Foden, because he played Bellingham next to Rice in the last World Cup, and that's when Bellingham was arguably our best player of the tournament. So why would you now move him to the 10 where he hasn't been playing there for Real Madrid? They're relatively dynamic in their system, but he plays a false 9 up until Vinny came back and Rodrigo, and then he moved into that midfield 3 in a sort of free roaming role on the right of that midfield 3, which we could do in England or on the left. So I don't understand what the thought process was to have him as a 10, because he's not a 10. And I will say he had the worst performance for me of any player at this Euros, even more so than Foden against was Slovenia, the one where he scored the bicycle kick.
Mm-hmm.
That was an absolutely horrible performance as a number 10. He was just not involved in the game whatsoever, and we couldn't get the ball out because he didn't drop into those gaps where you need your number 10 to be, because that's not his position. But he's a talented guy, and the way he picks up the ball on the half turn and draws players in, that's a weapon that you should be using effectively. But you should have people in front. You should have a striker who he can pass to in front of him, so he's not just running into more blocks. But they swarmed him every time he got there, because they knew if he turns and runs, we've got a problem. But yeah, he held on it too much, and I think he was definitely fatigued. But play him in the right position, you'll get the best. You have to get these are the guys you build the team around to get the best out of. Real Madrid did it, so why aren't England doing it? Who will we build anyway? We've already covered most of that, but yeah, I don't think it was a great tournament for him. But he got some goals, he got some assists, he put some numbers on the board, and he won the Serbia game for us, and he got us back in the Slovenia game, which is what he's been doing at Real Madrid all season. So I can't knock him too much, but yeah, I think we kind of failed his position a bit. And also, I don't think any players should be immune to subs. I don't know what's going on there with him, saying he's not being subbed off. I don't like that, because it's not like he was having an amazing game. Yeah, you score one bicycle kick doesn't mean you're guaranteed you have to play 120 minutes every game. We've got some good players on the bench. Yep. So I think that there was an element of okay, who's the manager here? Take him off. He's not playing well. So yeah, that element, I think, let's not have Jude Bellingham thinking he starts every game and is undroppable, because he's really not.
No, and there's times when you need something different, and if it's not that player at that time, that's it. You've got to be part of that system. Heather says, is it because we expect so much from him though? Probably a little bit. I mean, he's had an unbelievable season at Real Madrid, and I think we've all seen wrap him in cotton wool. This guy's so important to what we've done, and he was massive, massive part of why Real Madrid won what they won this season. In his first season at Real Madrid, you can't knock that, and we do. But we expect what we expect of him, but then you forget when you're watching the game, he's not playing in the position he should be playing in. So you're kind of expecting something that isn't really realistic without realising it, I think.
Yeah.
Till you kind of analyse it afterwards. So Bellingham will come again. He's young, he's early. He'll learn as well from this as well, I think, and maybe might flourish in a better position with different manager down the line as well. So he's definitely Bellingham is crucial to our. If we're ever going to do it, Bellingham is going to be crucial to doing it, I think.
Yeah.
Cole Palmer. We didn't see much of him, but when we did, this guy is I've never seen a temperament like it. It's a joke. It's just like he's just
Cole
wandering
Palmer
on the pitch like he's like, yeah, it is Cole Palmer, just constant. When he scored that goal, and you're just thinking that's Cole Palmer, and he's just done that in the final of the Euros like it's a friendly pre-season. He'll do that next week, exactly the same.
He really is like ice in his veins, that kid. Yeah, it's Chelsea. Chelsea got a gem there.
Chelsea got a gem. I mean, yeah. City don't make many mistakes, but that one,
yeah,
that one's hard to justify. I think
that one might be
tricky. Rebecca, did you wish we'd see more of him? Do you think? I mean, because it's always as a sub, you get that impact moment. You do get more space sometimes because the game's changed, and we never saw him from the start against a team we needed to open up, did we? So. Do you think this is now Cole Palmer's breakthrough that he has to start, whoever manages us moving forward?
Yeah. I think the way that we used him, I did think was quite like we did well with him. Like we needed him to come on to inject the energy into the side, and I think that was the way Gareth Southgate used him. Is like the way that he had to play him, because I don't know if he would have been the same Cole Palmer if he'd have started, and I don't think we'd have been saying like he is a very talented player, but in the Southgate like way he set up, would he have been what he was when he was coming on? So I do think having him as, I think he was like coming on as like a little super sub to then make that change, it was beneficial. And under the right England manager, we do have an incredible player in Cole Palmer, and he will get the starts that he deserves. But I do think the way that Southgate played him was right, because I don't think we'd have got that out of him if he started.
No, it was if you wanted someone to make an impact, Cole Palmer was the perfect guy to kind of do it. I mean, that finish was excellent on the edge of the box. I mean, is it fair to say, Lucas, I don't think Chelsea would have finished top 10 without him this season. He was that good.
Might have been relegated. Might have been a lot worse. But yeah, he should be. There should be a way to fit him in the team, and Southgate should have done that much earlier on. But yeah, someone put in the comments about he's too scared to upset plays and keep harmony, and it was at the sacrifice of players who actually could have helped us win this, and Cole Palmer was absolutely one of them.
He's a special talent, another special talent, and that's why we're all so frustrated this morning, because there is more and more to come. We know there's more tournaments. We know that they're young, but the talent is there. It's there. You can see it. Moving over to the right hand side with Bukayo Saka. I mean, I think probably out of our attacking units, our biggest threat throughout the tournament. When we could kind of get it. Obviously, you watching week in, week out, Lucas. Where was he at in terms of the Saka scale of how good he performed?
Yeah, he was definitely one of our most threatening players. Like that kid he's just so good. He's very, very talented, and I think we had him really far out on the right at some points, which nullified him a bit. But the fatigue definitely set in, I think, for him. But he popped up with an important goal in the semi-final against Netherlands. And yeah, throughout he was taking players on, getting into the byline, trying to look for someone in the box. But Kane was playing DM. So yeah, I think Saka is here to stay, and he's another one has to be in that England team. He has to start. He's one of our best players. I think Saka is, you're looking at Saka, Stones, Pickford, and you're kind of going, these guys are right now of that team, and Rice, like undroppable. Like they're the ones that have to be. The team has to be built around these guys, and then looking at Palmer, you're like, he might have to go in there now, maybe for Mainu as well. But yeah, Saka is consistently England's best attacker in that front four, and he proved it again this tournament. So, yeah.
He was solid. He was good, and did as much as he kind of did. And he's kind of became our only attacking threat because we were so nullified down the left. Everything had to be down to Saka, and we'd get it. And he was the one that you kind of got excited as soon as he got the ball because you did feel that he could create something. He could create a moment. Rebecca, you're happy with Saka?
Yeah, yeah, very. Just agree with everything that Lucas said. He was like our most exciting player, and when he was on the ball, you're always there like, oh, something's coming from this. But yeah,
he was super good. So we'll finish off with the strike. We've done Kane. I think we can all say we've done Kane. We'll leave Kane.
Yeah.
We'll leave Kane where it was. Obviously, Ollie Watkins had an unbelievable moment in the semi-finals. Who would have thought stretching a defence by running off somebody's shoulder might actually give you an opportunity, but we managed to find it. I think difficult struggle to get involved as much during the final, struggle to sort of pick him. But how do you think this is going to pick Watkins now, Lucas? Because he's had a very big season for Villa. He's going to be on everyone's radar next season defensively because of how good he is. He's got his first taste of European football as well in the Champions League. Is that a good thing for Watkins?
Yeah, I think so. He'll fetch a hefty price if anyone wants to buy him right now. Villa are smart. They give him a new contract, which they might have already. But yeah, he should have been introduced a lot earlier on in the setup. And I honestly think he should have started against Spain. I know it was like, well, we could have always taken Kane up, but it's like that's 60 minutes we won't get back. And it wasn't enough. Once Watkins was on, that he touched the ball 4 times, but at least he pushed that line, he pressed them, forced them to maybe go long at times, which Kane didn't do. They were comfortable, like we didn't have anyone pressing. So I really think he should have started in the final. It's a shame, but yeah, it's good. We have options there. I mean, this thing with Kane is like we have Watkins and Ivan Toney are 2 very, very good strikers. So we're not suddenly dropping in quality when our striker's not performing. It's not like, oh, what are we going to do? We've got no one, who are we going to play up front? It's like you've got 2 guys there, one who scored a hell of a lot of goals last season and got Champions League for Villa, and another one who is known for his goal scoring. Yes, he didn't have the best of season, but he was also out for 9 months with a ban, but is absolute quality. So yeah, I like both of them, but Watkins, I'm really happy for Watkins because I think people are still on the fence on him on a few things, but I don't know why, but I think he's brilliant. They both are. Both Brentford boys as well, right?
Yeah, they are indeed.
Both record holders in the Championship. I think Watkins had it first, and then Tony broke it. So
Tony did it, and I think before that was
next
Neil Mopai.
Neil Mopai next.
He was the one. The phenomenal season for Watkins and Ivan Toney, Rebecca. I mean, every kid is now practicing the no-look penalty, surely.
I don't know how he could do that. My nose would be shot if you're in a penalty shootout, but like incredible. I do think the ball should have been introduced earlier. I mean, like Lucas has said, Ollie Watkins, I personally thought he should have started the final. And then if you've got to bring someone on, Ivan Toney is like, they were both there and they both did their job when they had to come on. I mean, Ollie Watkins, so happy that he got his goal. I mean, it was so well deserved, and the season he's had to just top it off with that. He is going to be a very, very good one for us. And it's same with Ivan Toney. Like, he gets a full season under his belt again at Brentford or wherever he could end up, because there are quite a few talks. I do think we do have 2 very promising strikers to like take the boots off Kane when he hangs them up.
We certainly do. We have some good stuff coming through, and younger players as well coming through from beyond that. World Cup's 2 years. Things can happen in 2 years. No one was talking Kobbie Mainoo's name 12 months ago. There'll be players that are that will make impacts.
You need a striker though, because I think
we need a
Tony, the younger of the 3, and he's 27, 28.
That's true. And you're going to have whoever's coming in. If Harry Kane doesn't make the decision for them, he's going to have to manage that situation because he's currently the captain of the country. You would have him at the World Cup if he's still performing for the experience, no doubt. And you could bring Kane on in situations which would be perfect. But I think starting him in 2 years and him being a captain is going to be a problem when we get there. So that's possibly one of the first things that's going to need kind of addressing, unless because Kane's not going to internationally retire or anything. He'll be looking at the World Cup probably as his last hurrah, I would think. So we shall see. So we've done that. Is the Euro 2024. Congratulations to Spain. Never mind England, but there's always 2 years time. There's always 2 years time. I suppose quickly before we go, because Rebecca did spend up all night watching the Copa America. Tell us what happened for those of us who were wallowing in football today and didn't really check. Apart from seeing Lissandro Martinez and Garnacho with medals around their neck, which was beautiful that I saw on Twitter earlier. What happened in the Copa America final?
It was a match.
Happened.
It happened. Argentina and Colombia. See, I went into this thinking, we're gonna have a goal fest here, like 2 incredible sides, because they have both been doing quite well throughout the tournament, but 0-0 at full time and then extra time. It was a decent match. James Rodriguez is on another level. He's been a standout throughout the whole of the tournament, and then to see Messi go off injured, that was a bit of a shock. But it was a random match with the delay at the start, and then 25 minutes at half time, and then you're getting into extra time. And like, fair play to Argentina, but Colombia did hold them to a match, and it was an interesting final.
So what happened? Did people break into the stadium? Is that what happened? And then they had to kind of sort it out?
It was similar to Wembley for the Euros. It was like that kind of issue again.
Oh, okay. So,
yeah, it got delayed.
And why was Shakira on at half time? Was that because they ran out of time at the start? I've never seen a half time before. I know it's South America, but it's all very Super Bowl-y to me.
Yeah, we were sat there because it was like they were announcing, half time, it's being extended. And we're like, could you imagine they tried to do that over here? There'd be like pure uproar. But yeah, I mean, we didn't really watch much of it, so I can't really comment on the halftime show. But yeah, it was just really random. But I feel as though with that, having 25 minutes, it did take a lot away from it, because usually halftime, you've got like they're going through the analysis, they're going through everything, and then this time you've just got Shakira on stage dancing. So I do feel like it took a bit away from it, and it did turn it very American.
Maybe that's where we missed out. You see, if we'd have had another 10 minutes of Gareth Southgate team talk, because they'd have sent Right Said Fred out there or something, then would have been the champions. Do you catch any of it, Lucas, at all, or Copa America? Is it breezed you by?
Nah, completely breezed by. I didn't watch any games from Copa America because firstly, I'm not staying up at 1 a.m. to watch it. I can't do that. So I didn't catch any of it apart from some of the highlights. But yeah, I mean, no surprise Argentina did it in the end. But I heard Messi had a bit of a disaster. But I mean, we can forgive him. He is pretty old and just did win the World Cup. So
one thing with Messi was he got injured like around the advertising boards.
Saw his ankle.
Never seen someone roll so much to get back onto the pitch. I swear he injured himself more rolling back on the pitch than he would if he'd have stayed at the boards.
I suppose it's just one more story for Messi, isn't it? He won the World Cup with, that he had that magical moment scoring in the final with the dream of everything. Now he's won the Copa America through being a warrior, looking with a triple-sized ankle by the end of it, fighting it tooth and nail for his country. So it's just another medal for Messi to add to his many to come. So yeah, I think that kind of wraps us up now. That's everything. That's everything we've covered. Euro 2024. We will be back next week, starting to go through Premier League. Transfers have been happening slowly, and I'm sure they'll now start to pick up now the Euros have been done. Particularly Aston Villa have been a bit mad so far, but we'll start to cover all of that next week. We will cover that next week. And thank you to my two co-hosts today. Thank you for the therapy session. I think I feel better. I feel like we've got it all off the chest and can leave it where it belongs and complain about it when it comes back in September for the Nations League, which nobody will care about for quite a while. Rebecca, where can everybody find you and what have you been up to? I know you've been doing lots of F1 stuff.
Yeah, so I am now a part of a new F1 podcast called Girls in the Grandstand. So I'll be doing a lot of social media on there and did a little coverage of my time at Silverstone. And then my personal is Here, which I am known for with the amount of underscores that is in it.
That's it. Rebecca Undershaw, as you're now known. with
Yeah.
your underscores. There you go. Do check Rebecca Stout and all of her stuff. And Lucas, where can everybody find you? And what's on at the box office?
You can find me on Box Office Lucas on TikTok, and Crab Dribble on TikTok as well. Those are the two main ones. What's on the box office? So I saw Longlegs on Saturday, which is a horror film. If anyone's interested in that genre, it wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. And then I'm off to see Deadpool Wolverine next week, which will be a laugh. And I think I might try and see Twisters this week.
Oh yeah,
which is I don't know how to describe that one. It's about Twisters.
Twisters, yeah. I remember the original one, yeah. Twisters.
Oh yeah, exactly. Iconic, like was it late 90s? I think it was. Yeah,
it was a classic.
So that would be a good one. But Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm definitely excited for.
It's the one. Am I right? The new Alien movie's coming out soon as well. That's not far away, is it? Looks actually all right.
Yeah, but their track record's not great. I do love
it. The last few have been a bit. Prometheus, has got more plot holes in it than the Gareth Southgate tactic. That one.
Yeah, running away from a ship falling down in a straight line.
That wasn't that. Yeah, that was like us punting balls up to Harry Kane. Like, stupid.
Same thing.
Same thing. Well, excellent. Do check Lucas out and all that he's got on. I am at Sam Absolute FBL now on Twitter. I've changed it over, and also at Sam Absolute EFL on TikTok as well. I'm doing some EFL content next season. There will be a YouTube channel coming up as well, doing some of that stuff because I don't have a horse in the race in EFL, so it's quite fun to talk about because I don't have to be emotionally scarred by whatever's going on. I just enjoy it. It's good fun. Rebecca's not quite the same. Accrington causes her a lot of stress and drama. But of course, if you want to check that out and everything else that we have going on, then here are our lovely socials. We are, of course, the Absolute Football Podcast on X, Twitter. We're not calling it X, at Absolute Ball Pod, YouTube and Twitch, Absolute Football Podcast. TikTok, we are at Absolute Football Pod. On Instagram and sometimes Thread, Absolutely Football Podcast _. And on Facebook, the Absolute Football Podcast. We're on Mondays, Wednesdays and Thursdays at 8:30. We are Premier League show. We'll be back. Euros is done now, so we'll be going back to the Premier League, starting to build up transfers in the season next Monday. Wednesday this week, we've got WSL. There is the talk in the Lionesses game last week and plenty going on in terms of transfers in the Women's Super League and Women's Championship. And on Thursdays will be the lower league show with the Rowdy Rabble, Shah's Rowdy Rabble, talking everything EFL and National League as well, North and South. Plenty to cover in those days to come. Simon says he knows a football team that caused you a lot of stress. No, they didn't. I know what you're referring to. The FA Cup semi-final. Simon's here with his weekly comment. Don't worry. He didn't cause me any stress. All's well that ends well. Well, that ends. As so does this podcast. It all ends well. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Football's not home, but maybe one day. Maybe. Take care and we'll see you on the next one.